found out in talking with Crystal Chazelle was that her perspective is a perspective that we will achieve the goal. And so even though we know all of this information, and that's the whole perspective of Project Drawdown, because after you are inundated with so much negative news, you have to not become paralyzed, and you have to believe that you can achieve. And so when I'm talking with people that are resourceful, they've done the homework, they've done the research, they have all of the models in place, and they can actually predict in 2025, or you were saying, or in 25 years, you think that if we went with scenario number 2, we could start to see the actual point where we would have year-to-year decline in the amount of greenhouse gases, and we will see the climate being able to heal itself. So, I mean, we're hopeful. And the other big point that I think that you make that I'm so excited about is that none of us can do this alone, that we have to really work within groups and within networks. We have to do something. So don't feel discouraged that nothing is happening. You be a part of the solution, be the change. And so each of us can do our part. And just by participating in our program today, you have raised awareness of our climate concerns. And to give us more hope, we want to introduce you to the 2021 National Climate Student Essayist, Patrick Cannon. And so we're continuing this trajectory of hope. And so I want to just share some information here. And I'll just bring this up for you to see. Okay, and let me bring this up. Okay, here we are. So, I want you all to just get an idea of how we found out about Patrick Cannon. And so we're going to bring this screen up for you. Let me just bring it up here. We should have it here. Okay. In May of this year was the deadline for the National Climate Student Competition that we announced as a nonprofit organization, Books Motivate Foundation. We have been having this program now for 3 years, and by the end of May, we received submissions from across the country. And the submissions, we basically sent out information about the competition to all 50 states. We reached out to science teacher associations through our networks and through media and press releases, as well as the District of Columbia and the US territories. And out of all of the submissions that we received by the date, we then compiled them, and they went through a rigorous process of screening and adjudication with our scientists and our community leaders. After the completion of the process, we found out that Patrick Cannon was the award winner. So we notified Patrick, and so we're so delighted that he is here with us today to share with us a reading of his award-winning essay. And Patrick, you can just introduce yourself as also. He is from the High School for the Creative and Performing Arts, and that's located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And he can tell us about, I think, I'm not exactly sure about what grade he is in now, because so he can talk to us a little bit about what he's doing, and also how he found out about the climate science competition. And so we can just hear from Patrick.
Yeah, I attend the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts, and I'm going into 11th grade this year.
Great.
And I
Awesome.
found out about the competition from Miss Lanuti.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and we're going to hear from Miss Lanuti as well. So Patrick, why don't you start out and just provide us with more inspiration here we want to hear from you. And you can go ahead and share your essay with us.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Look closely at nature. Every species is a masterpiece, exquisitely adapted to the particular environment in which it has survived. Who are we to destroy or even diminish biodiversity? E.O. Wilson. Climate change is a global issue, different forms of life throughout our planet. It can be connected to various issues such as global warming, rising sea levels, social justice issues, and a multitude of more. It has substantial impact on our planet's functions in several ways. Amongst these issues, biodiversity loss poses a threat to all life, being a huge issue affecting our planet on a wide scale. Unfortunately, looking at the interest of our planet has become politically corrupt, leaving the future unknown. We are facing a huge climate crisis worldwide. Biodiversity is extremely ecologically important for species in an ecosystem. Biodiversity is the different biotic factors represented by the variety of life in an ecosystem. In ecosystems, everything is interconnected. This is supported by the diversity stability theory. Within recovery from natural disasters, climate stability, ecosystem productivity, and more, studies have shown from the University of Michigan's Sustainability Department demonstrating that biodiversity affects ecosystems as those comparable to global warming or air pollution. This means the adverse effects of biodiversity loss are something that needs to be addressed adequately that will effectively influence action. Biodiversity also is beneficial to humans. Biodiverse ecosystems have numerous positive benefits, such as providing food, producing oxygen, cleaning water, and controlling disease. Protection of these ecosystems that are enriched with life and provide so much for humans needs to be prioritized. Pennsylvania is no exception to the tragic loss of biodiversity throughout the world. It is known that more than 25,000 native species throughout the state are dealing with difficulties due to climate change to survive. Some of these vulnerable animals includes 2/3 of bird species inhabiting the state. This includes the Pennsylvania state bird, the ruffed grouse. Environmental issues globally and within the United States are interconnected. Biodiversity loss is commonly due to the different aspects of climate change, including deforestation, global warming, and exploitation of natural resources. Each of these is due to human impact. According to Jim Bonner, the executive director of the Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania, birds prefer cool environments. Unfortunately, due to the greenhouse gas emissions causing global temperatures to rise higher than ever before, these birds are facing a dangerous future. What is being done about biodiversity loss in Pennsylvania? There has been a lack of focus on both the effects of climate change and biodiversity loss throughout the state. Policymakers play a huge part in this, as they commonly are deciding to ignore the impacts environmental issues have. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is an effective work focused on conservation loss through biodiversity management, their wildlife conservation program, and Pennsylvania Natural Heritage Program. These programs finance research, conduct inventories regarding conservation work, and conduct management activities. While they effectively use adaptation to manage the damage of climate change, little climate mitigation remains to be made globally. Climate mitigation is focusing on limiting climate change and rising greenhouse gas emissions. To effectively stop climate change and prevent biodiversity loss, we need substantial change. Laws that regulate different environmental impacts throughout the planet need to be made. This includes laws prohibiting the destruction of biodiverse forests, limiting greenhouse gas emissions, and more. To efficiently combat climate change, I believe we as a nation must turn to renewable energy. From the endangered polar bears in the Arctic to the corals in the Great Barrier Reef that are becoming deceased, and even to the Pennsylvania state bird facing endangerment, biodiversity loss is a climate emergency. There needs to be a focus on biodiversity as its drivers of climate change. Without major changes, the future of full biodiversity isn't bright. I strongly believe we need a collaboration of both individual efforts and policy changes to effectively address biodiversity loss. As individuals, some things we can do to promote the protection of species are growing a garden, conserving water use, buying produce locally, and protecting endangered species that are local to you. Another way to take action is by reaching out to policymakers, forcing your consensual policy creations, but one of the most effective ways for you to have impact is through activism. Generation Z can be the generation to influence the prospective changes for the environment. The events that will occur if climate action doesn't take place will largely impact our future, which means climate action and the protection of biodiversity is insanely important for our generation, and our biggest weapon is getting our voices heard. In conclusion, biodiversity loss is a detrimental occurrence globally that needs to be addressed on a wide scale throughout the world.
Wonderful. Bravo, Patrick, an inspiring Philly scholar. Glad to come from the same city. So yeah, so that is exciting that Professor Jenkins also is from Philadelphia. And so we also want to thank tremendously Kelly Lanuti, because she was the one who introduced you to the competition and inspired you. So Kelly, would you like to say a word to us today, because just on how you found out, because we're always trying to find out about our wonderful science teachers and to find out their experience in working with students on environmental science issues. So if you could just share with us for a moment about how you found out about the climate competition.
Sure. My name is Kelly Lanuti. I'm an environmental science teacher at Kappa, the High School for Creative and Performing Arts in Philadelphia. We have an amazing science curriculum department. And then we have a separate department, which is known as Green Futures. And I just want to share their mission statement with you. I'm going to read it. It's a sustainability plan with 5 guiding principles: efficiencies, engagement, equity, environment, and education. And this is a group of people that's housed within our school district that work to pull all of those 5 things together. And they're actually who shared the contest information with the science curriculum office, which sent it out to all of the science teachers. And I teach 9th graders only. I didn't have the pleasure of teaching Patrick, but we came to know each other when he volunteered to be a part of a few programs through the Franklin Institute, which is a world science museum in the city of Philadelphia. He was chosen to be a youth representative on their Climate Action Council. And then he is one of a team of people that participated in their Youth Climate Action Summit and put together an action plan for our school. So he's a founding member of what we're calling right now the Climate Action Club at Kappa. They took the work that they did in the Climate Summit and they submitted it with a little bit of tweaking, but it was really the essence of the work that they did to Exelon. And they were awarded a grant that is going to get some of their action steps off the ground at Kappa this year. So we're very excited about all of that. And I do a lot of things at Kappa. I teach science, but I also get to know the students from their admissions applications all the way through graduation, helping out with a lot of different things in the main office. So it's through pushing this information out to Patrick and him responding and asking for me to sponsor him in his essay submittal that I got to know him, and that's how this all came to be.
Wonderful. And we are so delighted to have the excellence that is really demonstrated by your efforts. Kelly Lanuti, I mean, it's just awesome to have you and to applaud you. So we can give you a virtual applause, and Patrick, at the same time, we want to applaud both of you for the excellence that you have shown in working towards the goals of saving our planet. And it is just, it's not hyperbole. It is absolutely true that we have been able to raise awareness, to voice our concerns, and to share this with the world. We will have a video out, and so we'll be sharing this information for years to come. And so now we're going to finish up our presentation with our awards. And so I'm going to share